Today we're going to look at some properties of numbers. We're going to look at the commutative. You can think of the word commute when you think of commutative property. If you travel to work along this yellow line and then you turn or keep going the length of this pink line, it's the same distance to work or to school as it is back. You have that yellow line and the pink line. Here's an example with numbers. 5 plus 4 is the same thing or equals 4 plus 5. It does not matter the order of the numbers that you have. The same thing holds true with multiplication. 6 times 2 is the same thing as 2 times 6. Commutative property says that the order doesn't matter on adding or multiplying only. Here we have the Happy ELA group. We have Miss Clavery, Miss Tynes, and Miss Morrison. And it really doesn't matter how you group them up, as long as the signs are the same, they're going to get the job done. So if we're adding them, we can add Miss Clavery and Miss Tynes and then Miss Morrison, or we can add Miss Clavery and then Miss Tynes and Miss Morrison. The job is going to get done either way. Let's try it with numbers. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6. If we group them the other way, 1 plus 2 plus 3, we still have 6. This is the associative property of addition. The grouping doesn't matter as long as it's all addition. You can move the numbers around. It would also be true that you could add 1 plus 3 plus 2 and you still have 6. The grouping does not matter. In addition only. Now let's look at the associative property of multiplication. If we multiply and group Miss Clavery times Miss Tynes times Miss Morrison, we get the job done just as well as Miss Clavery times Miss Tynes times Miss Morrison. Let's prove it with numbers. Let's group them the same way. 1 times 2 is 2, times 3 is 6. 1 times 2 times 3, or 1 times 6, is 6 also. So this is the associative property of multiplication. It does not matter how you group or who you associate with, the job's still going to get done, or the multiplication and addition will still end up the same however you group them, as long as it's all addition or all multiplication. 2 more properties we're going to talk about today. We've got the property of 0, and the property of 0 says any number times 0 will always be 0. The property of 0 says any number times 0 is always going to be 0. And you can look at some of the examples. The identity property of 1 says that if you multiply any number times 1, you're going to get that same number. It will keep its identity. For instance, 3 times 1 will equal 3. 45 times 1 will equal 45. The 45 will keep its identity. When you multiply a number times 1, the answer is always that number, or the same number that you started with. These are the properties that we're going to talk about today, which was commutative, order doesn't matter, associative, it does not matter who you associate with or how you group the numbers, and the property of 0 says you can multiply any number times 0 and get 0. You can multiply any number times 1 and you will always have that same number, such as 44 times 1 is always going to be that same number, 44. There you have it for the properties.